All right, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Dunk Talk, episode 25. My name is Dylan Haugen, 5'11", 16-year-old dunker from Minnesota. Today we have co-host Hunter, and Donnie is back. So, Hunter, if you want to introduce yourself real quick, we'll get to Don.
Yeah, guys, I'm Hunter Castona, 6'1" dunker from Wisconsin, and we have our special guest again for the third episode, Donovan. We're just going to go over one specific topic, which we'll get to, but we're just having him on here as another basically co-host, just so we can talk about more stuff and have more of a perspective on this topic. But Donovan, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yep. What's up, guys? Donovan Hawkins. You can say 6'4", pro dunker. And yeah, glad to be on again.
Yes, sir. I was just choking on my water, so I was muted. But today, guys, the topic is what can we do to make dunking more of a sport? So this has been talked about a lot recently, especially with the Olympics happening. So obviously, I would like to see dunking become more of a sport, and I have kind of a lot of thoughts on it. But um, yeah, just what were your guys' kind of thoughts on the Olympics this year and dunking kind of becoming an Olympic sport in the future?
I mean, I thought it was like when people brought that idea up, I thought it was a great idea. Like, definitely think it should be Olympic sport and its own sport in general, just because we train as hard as the other Olympic athletes, and a lot of people are just literally focused on this and this only. Which I mean, I would again consider it a sport, but um, again, I don't know how what the like specific things you have to do to have it to be an Olympic sport, but I definitely think in the future that it can be that, just because I mean it's getting more popular by the day, by the year. I just think we just need to make it more known. But yeah.
Yeah, Donovan, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was, I know we probably all did, but I thought it was pretty interesting when I saw like what was going to be in the Olympics this year. And then I saw some of the sports. Like, I don't know how breakdancing is, or I guess they took it out after 1 year, but I don't know how breakdancing the Olympics and dunking is not. Oh, actually, I do know how. It's because they found a way to score it and score it effectively, which is something that we need to do, which I'm sure will be a topic of today. So, yeah, there's definitely some sports that shouldn't be in there, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to it for sure, and I know that there is like a lot that needs to be done to make it an official sport. And obviously a scoring system is one of those things. So I feel like the two biggest things that I've heard talked about is like an objective scoring system, which obviously the WDA has worked on, which we'll talk about more, but then also getting girls into the sport, and how that would work. So I'm not exactly I'm not exactly sure like how to deal with that because I know that there are girls that can dunk, but it's just like there's like very few compared to the amount of guys, and then like there wouldn't even be enough for each country or whatever. So and it wouldn't be much of a contest if it was on 10 feet either. It would just be like two-hander after two-hander at this time. So yeah, I mean, I think we definitely that's gonna be a huge thing is like getting more girls involved and just kind of showing them that it is fun and like it is possible. But then also I think probably lowering the rim would be another thing. I mean, I do think it might be possible in the future. Like if we have girls that are like training specifically for dunking to have 10-foot dunk contests. But at like this time right now, or I guess in 4 years for LA 2028 Olympics, it's probably not gonna be the case. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like what you said is that we're like girls are. I mean, obviously some girls are dunking right now, but like it'll just be a lot of two-handers and stuff, which I mean is fine right now because it's. I mean, it has evolved already, and you look at all these kids nowadays; they've all evolved from years past, where a lot more people that are 15 are getting dunks and doing even crazier dunks than people 10 years ago that were 15. So like generations are evolving and stuff. So I think there's a really good chance that like 10 years down the line that we'll have a lot of I want to maybe not say a lot, but like hopefully there's a lot of girls dunkers and that girls are like starting to windmill and stuff, which would be
Yeah.
pretty crazy to watch. And obviously I would love to see that just because it's more to the sport that you can bring to. But I mean, like Dylan said, is just maybe you lower the rim, but like again, I don't know how that would really affect everything. Just because if you look at other sports, the ball is usually the only one that is like smaller or the difference. So doing a whole different type of goal would be a little different. It's not like where you're shooting or anything, which is kind of
Mhm.
like why it wouldn't be feasible to do in like the WNBA or high
Yeah.
school or whatever, just because a lot of girls have been practicing on 10 feet for years. But if it's for dunking wise, I think that could be an option. But again, I don't really know exactly. So,
Yeah. Another thing is like finding the right height too. But yeah, Donovan, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I maybe I'm not as educated on the topic, but I don't think it'd be the worst thing. I mean, there's I mean, from what we've seen, like there's really like you take high jump for an example, like what's the male world record versus the women's world record, right? And it's like I don't think there's really like any reason why it would be not okay to lower the rim if dunking was a sport. I don't think so. Again, I could be incorrect in saying that, but yeah, I think that'd be perfectly fine. I think that'd be a much more enjoyable watch and an enjoyable performance for them to do, the female athletes. But yeah, it's definitely something that needs to happen in the future.
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. I was talking to Brooke about it because obviously she's been kind of dunking a lot more on lowerims and stuff. And I was
Hold
like,
on, Dylan. Do you want to explain who that is? Because a lot of people probably don't know
oh yeah.
what
So
that is
Brooke,
or who that is.
yeah, Brooke, her Instagram is 1 foot gal. She's my girlfriend and yeah, we've been together for a few years and obviously so she's seen kind of like my progression as a dunker and she knows like how much I'm into it basically. And so, you know, hanging out with someone like me who is just so obsessed with it, I mean, it's kind of impossible for her not to get into it a little bit. And, it would be, it, I think it would be bad for both of us if she just kind of like didn't like it at all. So obviously she kind of tried it out and she realized that it's fun. And I think that everyone would realize that it's fun if they gave it a chance, especially low rimming. So she's been doing that like pretty like not I wouldn't say like super seriously, but she's been doing it like a lot for like 6-ish months now. She did a little bit before, but for the last 6 months she's been generally consistent. And she's gotten some dunks that I haven't seen many girls do at all on low rims, like between the legs, behind the back, 360 windmills, stuff like that. And I even like get to take her to like trampoline parks and stuff. And like I was getting her to do like double ups over me and stuff. Haven't got that footage out yet, but like is crazy. So like I think that the biggest thing is that a lot of girls don't think it's possible. And that's kind of why I'm just loving like showing Brooke things and like having her like realize like, oh, this is possible. Because there are times and sessions that we have where she's like, oh, I can't do this. And then like 5 minutes later she hits it and then it's consistent from then on. So it's like I think the biggest thing for girls is that a lot of them either don't think it's fun, they think it's dumb, or they think that it's not possible. And and then what I would say to that is we have never seen a girl um train to dunk, basically. I mean, we've seen girls train to dunk. We haven't seen a girl train to dunk from like the age that I started, like 11. We've never seen a girl like doing jumping from the age of 11 to like, 30, whatever. Obviously, I mean, it's impossible to ignore that they might not be able to get to like the same level as me, for example, by my age. But I think that there is totally a chance that there are going to be girls that can get to levels that we have never seen before. But again, we've just simply never seen it. I compare it to track as well. Like we've seen girls train for track doing long jump, high jump, and they are like very athletic. Same thing with volleyball. We see girls train for jumping in volleyball and they get very athletic. Like I saw a girl with like 35 to 38 inch vert or something. So I was like, it's definitely possible. But again, it's just kind of like taking that skill and then putting it into dunking, which we haven't really seen at all yet. So,
I mean, I think part of that is the whole reason why people haven't or girls haven't trained for it is because it's not known enough. And
mhm,
like, obviously, we've had girls like obviously Brooks into it now, but we had girls like Kelly that went to dunk camp. We had Vic that went to dunk camp. Obviously, that kind of helped a little bit. I think get a little bit more exposure to
for
it,
sure.
but
Yeah.
obviously nowhere near to what it needs to be. But I just think that's part of the problem is just they don't know about it and they just are worried about volleyball or track or whatever sport that they're doing. They're more worried about that and they just don't want to try it out because they just want to do what they're comfortable with, which is totally fine because again, you want to be comfortable wherever you do. But also it's like these girls that are trying it out, they're actually getting better they're actually having fun with it, and it's not like we're bashing them for trying it or anything. We want them to try it. Like when I see like especially when I see Brooke stuff, I always like it. Like I'm always just like, oh geez, she wasn't doing that last week. Now she's doing it this week. Like it's just crazy to see progression, no matter who it is. I don't even care if it's a girl, if it's an 11-year-old or if it's a 40-year-old. Like I just don't care who it is. Progression is progression, and it's always fun to see. And it's just like we said, it just has to be more well known. Which again, I don't really know exactly what we need to do to make it like huge yet. Obviously, there's things that we can do like post on social media, like we have been, or promoting it for the dunk camps and stuff like that. Like obviously, we've been doing that, but we haven't had like an outbreak of dunk it. I would say like where it's like more common, where like we're having events every single week, um,
Hmm.
or there's just a lot of opportunities for all dunkers at all levels. So I just think it just needs to be more well known. And I think as time goes on, it's obviously girls will get into it more just because we have girls like Kelly, Vic, Brooke, like all these girls, and even that contest that was in like Atlanta or something. There was actually a girls contest that was on like 8 feet or something, and they're actually going crazy in it too. But like I don't know where those girls are at now, but um, like it was just cool to see like that they were actually interested in, and that they actually were doing some like pretty crazy thing. I think somebody elbowed or something, and it was
Yeah.
like I was like I've never seen any girl try that, like let alone some guys won't even try it. Donovan, um,
Yeah,
but
yeah. You're
uh,
funny. But I was gonna actually add something to
Bro
what
didn't even catch it.
no, I'm so locked in on the conversation, bro. I was gonna add something to Dylan's statement about how we've never seen like a woman train before just for like jumping, right? Just for the only purpose of jumping high. I guess you could say high jumpers, and but that's for a skill versus right just ultimately absolutely touching high.
Exactly.
But so I forgot I asked me and my dad were talking about this a couple months ago while the Olympics were going on. And I remember he calculated the percentages, and I'll explain what I mean here in a sec. We might have to redo them. I don't want to turn this to a math podcast. We might have to redo them. So the 100-meter time for women, the world record is 10.49, and then Usain Bolt obviously set it with 9.58. So it's slightly less than a second, right? It's like what is that, like point 0.9 something? So slightly less than a second. And I mean, not like that's not 100% accurate, but in terms of human anatomy, sprinting and jumping are pretty similar. They use a lot of the same muscles, a lot of the same
Mhm.
tendons, right? Pretty similar in terms of uh, um, what we use. So it's interesting to see. And I remember my dad did the calculations, like it's the same thing. So like if you took that world record time, both of them, and then you did like Isaiah's 50.5-inch jump. And again, we have to redo it if you guys know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. And my dad said it was like 42 inches. So apparently, just again, that's like again completely rough. We could do it again, but I don't know how to do that. But my dad did it, and I was like, shit, or sorry, I was like, crap, that's crazy. And so yeah, I guess it's probably somewhere around like low 40s. That's a
yeah,
girl can actually achieve, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like if they were, imagine
that's
like a 6 foot girl who could do like 42 inches. Oh my gosh.
dude,
Like
Yeah.
that's actually crazy. I never like again, I don't know anybody that's actually like thought about that before. So that's actually really cool to hear. And I've never even, like I said, never heard anybody do that. So
Yeah.
I like I said, I and like what Dylan said, I think it's totally possible for girls to get into the 40s. But again,
Hmm.
we haven't seen that because I don't think it's because they haven't trained at a young age to achieve that. They're just more worried about the sports that they're in, and
Yeah.
they just don't care about like jumping high. I mean, obviously, probably volleyball players do, but like they're just gonna be more focused on the sport of like going to these camps of like skill work, not really jump mechanics or just working on jumping consistently. They're just more
Yeah.
worried about like being skillful in their sport, which obviously jumping is part of that, but it's not the main part. Like
yeah,
there's obviously more to it. So
Yeah.
we need to get John Evans to test to take like the best like women's high jumper and have her test her vert on a vertec.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. But yeah, like you said, I mean, if you have a girl with a 42-inch vert, I mean, I don't think people I think Isaiah and people like you have like ruined 42-inch verticals to people because they're like they think that that's like not a lot. Like I have a 42-inch vert. A lot of people I assume I have a lot more than that. Just because I don't know, everything's inflated on social media. But yeah, like imagine, and I'm like not even like that tall either. So imagine like a 6'2" girl with the same vert as me with similar hand speed. Like they're East Bay. Like they're literally gonna East Bay. And another thing we haven't really seen is girls do 2 foot jumping. So I don't know if that would really change anything, but I don't know why that is. Like
Yeah,
Brooke's a 1 footer, Kelly is naturally a 1 footer. Vic experiments with two a little bit, but she's
and
naturally a
I
one
was just
footer.
gonna say that that's a better question for someone who like knows more the scientific side of it because I don't know, but because women high jumpers definitely jump higher than women volleyball players. But you could take like a male volleyball player, and I mean they jump like crazy high, some of them, right? So I think there's an odd like I don't know. I don't know what it is. Again, I'd have to ask someone who knows what they're talking about. But yeah, I did notice that too. So I'm glad you picked that up.
Dylan, what sports has Brooke played? If you don't mind me asking.
Um, I know she did
Is
volleyball when
she
she
in
was like
track?
really young. No. I know she did volleyball
No.
when she was really young, but she's just done dance
Okay.
her entire life basically, which if you guys don't know, that's like a lot of like stretching and stuff. So like she basically has not a lot of predisposition to jumping and just like max output. So that's another really cool thing to see is like she's like literally just starting and she's already pretty good. So that's I mean, imagine if she would have done like track or basketball her whole life. Like that's exactly
Yeah.
what I'm saying though. Like we need to see someone start when they're like 11, and that's when
But
it'll
that's what
really
I'm
take off for women.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like for the dunk camp, especially like those pop ups, and even for the actual camp, we haven't seen a girl do 2 foot before. So I'm actually like really curious how volleyball, like a
Kelly, I don't know, sorry, not Kelly. Vic does do 2 foot sometimes on low
yeah, a little
rims.
bit, but like if she's going on a 10 foot maximum
Yeah,
jump, she's going off a 1 foot.
yeah,
So like
exactly.
I wonder if like we get a volleyball girl, like just again I don't know who, but like someone that has a decently high vertical in volleyball. If like we took them to like a low rim or just dunking in general, and like how they would perform off of 2 feet, like I'm just really curious on like how that worked because I mean I would assume that they would have decent hand speed just because I mean they're freaking smacking their hand
Yeah.
down at the ball pretty quickly, and they're doing that reps on reps on reps. So like I would
I
think
mean,
that they would be pretty powerful with
look at Brendan,
some.
bro.
I know, dude, that was crazy. But
He did under both, bro.
yes, I saw
It's
that too. I saw the
insane.
mix from Billy today. But
So
it's just
crazy.
like I'm just like really curious on like what would happen if we actually took like a high level volleyball jumper and we took
Yeah.
him to a low rim or something because we've had like obviously the track stars like Kelly. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Vic does track as well, but obviously we Brooke doesn't do track, but I mean she's still 1 foot. So I just want to see like what would happen with a 2 foot
Yeah, it's very
because
interesting. Dude, I've
yeah,
never seen, actually, I have seen, there was one girl that did volleyball that supposedly tested 38-inch vertical on a Vertec, but again, like, I don't know if that was like measured or if her reach was accurate or anything, but
And
I
I
mean, she
did just
does,
I sorry, real quick. I did just do the calculation, and it's actually 46 inches is the same difference between the 100-meter times and Isaiah's jump. So that's like again, but they
and
use
Isaiah,
it's different
like,
muscle groups, but they're pretty similar. So
oh yeah, yeah. And Isaiah isn't even like the most gifted human of all time either.
right.
He's just literally working hard for like 10 years. And also, I think that 1 foot would be more specific to sprinting, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it
Yeah,
100% is. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if 46, I don't know if 46 would work out one,
Yeah,
maybe, but
I'm
even
not
like
sure about that.
44, like that's possible. So, it's super interesting.
I think we should talk about the scoring system, how that would work in
Yeah,
the Olympics.
for sure.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So, I'll kind of give you all the intro, but basically, if you guys have not been paying attention to dunking at all, scoring has been historically bad in contests. Donovan is currently fixing that, doing no prop dunks and winning every time. But if you guys watch the China dunk contest, um, in China, the XBA dunk contest, Jordan Kilgallen, Isaiah Rivera, Jonathan Clark, Dan Gross, Chen, Donovan's favorite, and then a couple other guys. They were all there, and there was just like push off after push off after push off, and the judging was horrible. So I do think that Kilgannon probably should have won, but I don't really know. I think that that contest really comes down to opinion, but I think that a lot of the scores were bad regardless of the winner. So I think we can definitely talk about a few of the problems in that contest. I'll say the first big problem that I saw was first dunk scores. They were giving out like 50s on the first dunk of the contest. Like if you're a judge, you simply can't do that right away because that sets the bar super low. Like the dunks that they're doing first round are not like gonna be their best dunk. It should be obvious, but apparently some people don't understand that. So like I feel like every dunk in that contest was a 47 and higher, which is just insane. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at a lot of contests, it doesn't matter if it's pro contests, NBA contests, whatever it is. Majority of the first round scores are always going to be, I mean, depending on the dunk and stuff, but majority is going to be over an 8. So it's like you said, it's gonna put the bar really, really low, and it's gonna basically make like if somebody gives, let's say, a punched windmill, 999, and then like the final rounds they do an under both off the backboard, and they give them all tens. Obviously, that's an all 10 dunk, but those are not close at all for difficulty
Mhm.
wise.
Yeah.
Um, Even if they're both punched, I mean, it's still not difficulty wise. It's not the same. Um, but it's just like you said, the first round dunks are always way too high, and we see that very commonly in every single contest. I mean, you could say FIBA has been decent with that because they're pretty obviously. I would say some judges are pretty strict about their scores. Like some don't even give out tens very often at all. So like that's
And then
also. But then there's
yeah,
some that are just like whipping out tens like it's nothing, like it's no tomorrow. So it's like
yeah.
again, it's definitely opinion based as well, like what you think is also a hard dunk or not. But I think these judges need to be more educated um, than just like seeing what they know, because a lot of people even in the stands like they don't see these dunks very often. While as the dunk community sees these dunks very often by kids that are 16 years old or even 18, 20, whatever it is. Like they see them very often for most of these dunks. I mean, not I wouldn't say all these dunks, but majority of the dunks are able to be hit by amateurs. I want to say not all of them, but like first round dunks could be hit by some amateurs for sure, depending on level. Um, but yeah, I just think it needs to be more educated at the end of the day for
Yeah, I
judging
think I think that's the biggest problem. It's not necessarily like how
the
they're set up or
dunks.
anything. It's just simply the judges need to be people who actually know what they're talking about versus, whatever. It just needs to be people who actually are well versed in the dunk community and know what they're looking at. So I think that's the most important thing. That's the first step.
Yeah, for sure. And the hard part is though, is again, like we said, dunking isn't like that huge of a thing. And so that means that there's not a ton of money like to just go around and like bring judges in. Um, so that's the hard part for sure. Is like, FIBA can't fly three dunkers out and then also fly three other dunkers out that aren't gonna dunk, they're just gonna judge. So it's like it's just such a hard thing to understand. But I do think that like maybe we should I don't even know. Maybe judges should be like coached or something like before, like say like, these are some things to look for. Like these are some things that you should and shouldn't do because again, like I want to see more like sevens thrown out in dunk contests, but not just like randomly. Because, sometimes, like Hunter said, like it'll be all tens in every contest, or it'll be like, Donovan's contest in Edmonton where Finn gets a six on a really solid dunk. Like
Well,
it,
so
it
actually,
just,
I was gonna bring that up too. It's also interesting because like if we don't use WDA and you just do like let's say it's good judges, like it's like Isaiah Kilgannon and Jay Clark all judging a contest. Like they're judges, they're not participating, right? And
yep,
they're judging, let's say, an amateur contest. One thing I noticed too that I don't know why we do. I think it's because it's like a show for the crowd. But like if you have a scoring system 1 through 10, you need to use the whole 1 through 10. So one would be a one-hander dunk. And this an example. So what I'm saying like a windmill wouldn't be a 6 or 7. It'd be like a 3 or 4. Like, why don't we use
yeah,
the whole 1 through 10? Why do we use only 5 to 10? That makes no
yeah,
sense. Like you're limiting yourself so much, and that causes the same issue of dunks getting overscored, like windmills or like between the legs getting eights and nines, because we only use 5 to 10. If we actually use 1 through 10, Dude, I mean, it
Mhm.
would be a much more evenly scored contest.
Yeah, and it also makes the difference between a windmill and like for example an under both like way too small. Like
Yeah,
I see like eights thrown out for windmills all the time, even sometimes nines, and it's like, bro, there are dudes who are like
it's like a four.
12 that can windmill. Like it's like, the difference between a windmill and under both is like on a 10-point scale, a three and like a nine or 10, depending on, I guess, yeah, probably like a nine or a 10. Like that's the huge, it's like a huge difference. On, and in most contests, it's like an eight versus a nine or an eight versus a 10. Like that's literally it.
And
It's
and to,
insane.
to go even further from what I've seen in other contests and also what I've experienced, they don't even use 5 through 10. It ends up being a 7 through 10 contest. So you're just
Hmm.
using four different numbers. And it's like, dude, you're limiting yourself so
Yeah.
much. Like, it doesn't make any
And
sense.
if they miss all three, they normally just give out a six. And it's like
Yeah, like a
a
six for a
six
miss is
should get a
crazy.
zero.
Yeah, like
Literally should get a zero. Like it sucks, but like you should just be done. I do like what they did at XBA, where they like had like the time limit thing, and then like at the end of it, you get one more attempt. I thought that was pretty good, just to kind of like give them one more chance, but at the same time, like you can't go through and just miss five dunks and then get a decent score. Like this is crazy. And sometimes they'll even throw out sevens for all missed dunks. It's like what? But
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't think a lot of people, well, if they're listening to this podcast, I mean, I think they'll know. But the WDA is definitely a step in the right direction just because they have a base score for every single dunk that is made. So a windmill, again, I don't have the spreadsheet pulled up right now, but a windmill might be 12 points, while under both might be like 40 points. So like there's a huge difference just in the base, and then they add the style, the power, the
yeah,
finish, and I think hang time are the four. And that's ranked out of five. So a five is like a 5'9" guy getting their head at the rim. That's a five. While as a 6'6" guy that gets their head at the rim is like a two or something like that. I don't exactly, like I said, don't quote me on all this stuff, but it's around that.
yeah,
So like that would definitely change a lot. Just having the base dunks being its own score. Um, and then like solely doing it on like the style finish, whatever. But just because it gives a little bit more of a fair advantage to everybody to know what like a windmill should be, and then they can actually like plan out their contest a little bit better too, and we would actually probably see a little bit more variety because there's multipliers that happen too, which elbows or off a lob, off of the backboard, off of whatever it is, a 360. Like there's multipliers that you do if you add something to a base dunk, which would
yeah.
also like help the scoring system and actually get different dunks because if you're in that contest, you just want to get the highest score possible. If you're in a WDA contest, you want to do all your dunks obviously consistently enough, but you're looking at dunks to do that are like again not the hardest possible, but you want to do something that you can make, but also it gives you the most points because at the end of the day, that's a high point base. While as if you go to one of these dunk contests that's only out of 10, obviously there might be three judges, so 30. Um, like there's only it can only go to 30, while as this one could go up to 100 or something. I don't even know exactly, but
It's infinite, yeah.
um, like if you saw Dylan's 9 foot contest, he had like 200 like 50 points or something, throw four dunks or whatever it was. Like it's rather than the whatever it is. And then the actual like end of the contest isn't as close as it usually is for the dunks that are being made because there can be one dunk that somebody makes that's insane, like that's just never really seen before, and that's going to obviously outscore the other person by a long slide.
Yeah,
So there's just a lot that could like benefit from the WDA, but
yeah,
again, it's not very common. So
yeah. And it kind of takes away that like awkward like last second like vote, because like if you guys watch the XBA contest, the last dunk that Kilgannon did, Kilgannon and Chen went to like a, I don't even know what it's called. But they were like the two finalists basically, and they had one dunk each. Kilgannon did a 540, got a 50, and then Chen did like a J Rich double up over like two or three people or something like that. And he got a 49. And the dude that gave him a nine was like the last person to put up their score. Like he was like waiting, and then he was like, nine, like it kind of takes away from that as well, because it's like, although there is some opinion that goes into the WDA thing, which I do like. I do think that no matter how objective you try to get, dunking is still gonna be like an opinion thing. Like some people are gonna like, an East Bay Scorpion more, and some people are gonna like East Bay off the backboard more. Like no matter what you do, some people are just going to like the visual appeal of some dunks better, and that's why they incorporated that flight style finish into there as well. So I do think that that is a great idea.
So I got
And
a
then go
I
for
got
it.
a couple talking points about like how contests and everything. So I've heard someone say before as well. I'm not gonna say who, but they're like a well respected in the dunk community. I've heard them say as well that you judge it if we really want it to get to the point of being more of a sport and not necessarily just like a show, because there still are some shows and those are fun to do too, right? We're not gonna like hate on those, but if you really want it to get to a sport, like one of the things we should do is judges shouldn't be near the contestants. Because what that does is it's like proximity, right? The closer you are to it, it seems crazier. You're going to give them a higher score, and also contestants should not be able to talk or look at the judges because that is a big thing that ruins like integrity and competitiveness. The judges should give their own score without having to worry about yeah, any sort of bias from the contestants themselves. So that's one
Yeah,
thing I'd
bro.
have someone say as well.
If anything, have like professionals tune in live from across the country and just watch the contest
Yeah, yeah,
live.
yeah,
That's actually I've never thought about that. That's actually
yeah,
an interesting idea. But yeah, I do see that quite a bit in contests where like a dude, will hit a dunk and then he'll like yell at the judges like, oh, that was, worth a 10 because if they're like mad about whatever last time,
yeah.
just yell at them. And then it's like they're again, like you said, like they're literally face to face. Like you're both on the same half court. Like that is not a lot of space. So yeah, that is definitely a good point.
Yeah, I've
There's
never
a lot
even
to it.
thought about that before. So it does make sense though, because I mean, the crowd does play a big factor in, I mean, obviously, if you talk to the judges and stuff, obviously plays a big factor, but just being in the moment is gonna obviously affect the score a lot as well. If like the crowd doesn't go crazy for a win, you're gonna be like, well, I can't give this like an 8 or 9 because the crowd's just gonna boo me or whatever. While as if like it's a crazy dunk, you're gonna be like, oh well, now I have to give this a 10 because the crowd just literally blew up. Um, so it's like that would definitely be. I think that would help. I've never even I've never even heard of something like that, which I think is a good idea. Like you don't even have to fly them out now. You can just literally have them at home and they judge at home, and they just look at the dunk and then they just put up their score that way, or however it would work in the contest. But like that's definitely something that I think would benefit for the sport, just because there is a lot that goes into crowd
Yeah.
and contestants and judges and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Was there
being
a
influenced.
NBA dunk contest during COVID or not?
I
Because
don't think so.
that would
I don't
that would
know.
be like a really interesting
I don't think so.
like model for it. Like just nobody there. It's basically just a dunk session and like people just judge it from
Yeah.
across.
Uh,
That'd
I
be
will say
insane.
though, with that, I would still have the crowd there just because that does
Oh
give like
yeah.
a hype factor to it.
oh
But I'm
yeah.
not just gonna go to a just empty gym and just have a contest
No,
with two other dudes. Like that would just be like, but like,
Yeah.
but yeah,
yeah,
the second part of it too is, and I think this is perfectly fine to discuss because like constructive criticism is one of the best ways to improve the thing that we're trying to improve. Do you guys like everything about the WDA, or is there anything you guys noticed that is maybe needs to be changed or what?
like are you talking about just like scoring system?
Yeah,
Is it
like
like just
overall
like
how everything works. Yeah. Have you seen it
I
before? Like the actual
yeah,
like okay, yeah.
yeah. I personally like it just because again, the base dunks have their own score. And then if you add something like a 360 or an off the backboard or something, like it gives you a multiplier, so it adds more to the dunk. So like say if you hit a 360 East Bay or something, the base it wouldn't just be the base dunk, it would be the multiplier too. So I think it's what might be like a times one multiplier, or I don't exactly know exactly how it works, but like you get more points for doing stuff like that, which is I think good. And then the more difficult you add something to it, the higher the multiplier is. So like I
Yeah.
think push off dunks get a 0. Like they don't get a multiplier at all. So if you do a windmill over somebody, it's
Yeah.
just
They
gonna be
actually
a regular windmill.
they they dock you for that as
Oh, they
well.
do? Okay.
Yeah. If you like they yeah, I mean I kind of like we when we talked to Connor actually, he was talking about like even like handoffs are way easier. And so like that's another thing. Like even a double up where you don't push off is still like technically easier than just a normal dunk if you like rep it out enough.
Because it's
So
held in
yeah,
place.
yeah,
So one
exactly.
thing that I've heard Billy Duran, he runs Dunkademics, if anyone didn't know. He's really vocal about, and I've kind of thought about it more recently as well. And I he may be correct in saying this, but one thing that the WA does is it rewards, meaning gives more points to different types of passes. Now, if you know what Billy Duran, he's very adamant that passes should not be counted in any sort of way towards the final score of the dunk. And I've kind of started to almost agree with him on that because if
Wait,
you think
for
about it,
before you keep going, what like types of passes? Are you talking about
so
specifically like
you have obviously regular, you can go normal off dribble, then you have off lob, self bounce, and backboard. So, and the reason being, the reason why he says this is, and I actually agree, if you think about it. So let's say my whole life since I was 15 years old, I never once practiced a lob like everyone does, normal lob. I never once did that, and I only did off the backboard. Off the backboard is going to be easier for me on every single dunk I try because it's the only thing I've practiced. So off the lob will be harder for me, but off the backboard is going to get more points for me. So it's interesting. Like only Billy thinks only the base dunk should be scored. Passes and like things of like handoffs, not at all. So interesting to hear you guys' opinion on
you?
that.
Yeah, we're actually about to run out of time, so we're gonna come back to that
Yeah.
right now. All right, we're back. So the question is basically should different types of passes be awarded because people could just be more comfortable with certain passes. Although I generally I understand what you're saying, but I also kind of disagree with a few of it. Like I think generally backboard passes is always going to be harder. And although there might be some dude who like is really good at backboard passes, it's just generally harder. Like if like I don't think we're seeing many dudes doing 360 east bays off the backboard in contest, whereas there's quite a few people who do like 360 east bays off dribble and off lob. So I like
Yeah.
understand it, but I do think that generally it's harder to jump higher on a backboard pass. It's harder to jump higher off dribble. So I do think that those should be rewarded a little bit, but I don't really know.
That was the thing I was gonna say is like I agree and also disagree at the same time because like I do understand like if you're throwing like for me I love throwing lobs because I've been throwing lobs my whole life. While is I haven't really gone off the dribble too much just because I haven't practiced it enough. But at the same time, it's like some of these dunks are always gonna like some of these passes are always gonna be harder than some others, like Dylan said. So say you do a self bounce under both, and somebody does under both off the backboard. Or sorry, let me do this again. If someone does a lob under both or off the backboard under both, obviously under both off the backboard is going to be a harder dunk. So I think that should get scored higher than a lob under both, just because theoretically that is a harder dunk for most people.
I
So
mean,
Keyword theoretically.
yeah.
Like for
Well,
example,
Don,
everyone
yes,
Donovan,
knows. And well, no, hold on. In the WDA scoring system, don't you get more points for a lob versus off dribble? But all of us dunkers consider off dribble to be harder than off lob. So why would you get more points for that?
yeah,
Like think about it
that
under
is
both.
true.
Think about it under both. You guys could both
I
hit under
think
both on a good session whenever, like next week off a lob. But you
eh,
guys aren't going to hit it off dribble. I can tell you that right now. So
yeah.
why are we awarding
I
lobs when we're not awarding off dribble?
okay,
that
yeah,
that is
I see what you mean now. Yeah,
that is really hard because again, like it is I do
yeah,
agree. Like I can't dunk off dribble at all. Well, I can dunk off dribble, but I definitely cannot do under both off
Well,
dribble.
exactly, yeah.
So it's definitely something to think about. But at the same time, like there are certain dunks where I would argue that are harder off lob. For example,
Yeah.
540. Like imagine doing a 540 off lob, bro. So I do think
Yeah.
that again, the WDA we should say by the way, the WDA is not a final thing. It's a work
Right.
in progress. So yeah, for all of you wondering, it is a work in progress. But yeah, I do think that there should be some dunks that are awarded more for off lob, but again, there are some dunks that are easier off dribble.
yeah.
But especially when we get to like pro level, like the thing that we also have to consider is when we're talking about Olympics and pro contests and stuff, me and Hunter are not on that level yet. So like for example, for you, Donovan, what's easier, East Bay or sorry, under both off dribble or under both off lob? Like if you had
100%
to do one,
off,
if you
100%
had to
off
do
lob,
one
I can get a full jump.
off lob,
Yep.
what if it's like $100,000 on the line? You get one attempt.
100% off lob. I could, dude, I can get a full
Really?
jump. I'm jumping like high 40s on that versus off dribble. I'm jumping like low 40s.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's so. How about 360 East Bay?
Okay, yeah, so that's what I was actually gonna mention. So I
Yeah.
think 360s off lobs are harder. However, um, normal dunks off dribble, which is kind of weird, are harder. It's weird. 360s, when you add the lob, it makes it so much harder.
Because I was
Yeah.
also gonna add like when I said the off the backboard or off a lob, like what if you did a 360 East Bay off of the backboard? Like that's just insane. So
Yeah.
like obviously for that, like I would say that would have to definitely get rewarded just because again, like you could say a lot more people are doing 360s off of a dribble,
Yeah,
but
also
it's like it's
it could
there's
just
just
be
so much stuff that
no, exactly. That's why
yeah.
it's really hard to score because it's so intricate.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about today because I don't know. I think everyone does this. I was practicing some dunks and I was actually thinking about because I was thinking about what Billy said because I knew we were gonna have this conversation. And low key, if you get the pass right and if you practice it enough off the backboard, you can catch in the exact same spot as you would off a lob. So it's not that much harder. I think people don't practice it enough, is what it is.
Yeah. I would say that it's definitely something that you could get rid of, and I don't think it would affect it too much.
Oh, I'm, I'm
But
not. I'm not saying we should or shouldn't. I'm just saying
yeah,
it's
oh
worth
yeah, I
a
agree.
lot
I know.
because
It's really hard
yeah.
to think about because you could say the exact same thing about like handoffs because like a handoffs are technically a type of pass, but like if for example me and Donovan are in a contest and I do a handoff under both and he does an under both, in my opinion, an under both should be scored higher every single time because a handoff under both, again, it's just like sitting there for you. And also, a lot of people don't realize a lot of handoffs you can push off of. You can push off of handoffs, and a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
So, like when you see guys do windmill elbows and stuff like that, a lot of times they're getting a little bit of push because if you hold your arm just like really hard right here and you're pushing down, it's the exact same thing as a double up. That's something that a lot of people don't know. Not everyone does it. I'm not saying that everyone that does handoffs is doing push off dunks, but that is used a little bit. And that needs to be considered as well. So yeah, I don't even know. Again, it's just such a hard thing because although we're trying to make it, I don't even remember what the word is, more objective, there's just like dunking is such a big thing with so many options to it that it's really hard to
It's
um
there's not like a set in stone scoring system. While it's like a lot of these other sports, they have like time based or score based by like having a 2 pointer, 3 pointer, like in basketball or football. Obviously not in the Olympics, but still same thing. They have a score base for everything, and it's against somebody else, like just one other team with multiple people. I mean, obviously track is a one on one, but dunking it's a lot harder just because there's so many options that like that could be made
yeah.
in
But
into a
like
basket.
gymnastics doing it, like it's the same thing. So I don't know. It's definitely doable, but again, it's a work in progress and we're gonna need to do some things with it. But yeah, it's hard.
So Donovan, kind of asking you your question: is there anything in the WDA that you would want changed or that needs to be added? Obviously, we heard your opinion on like the passing, but is there anything else that you can think of that you would change or no?
Oh, I don't know if I agree with that for the passing. I was saying it's a thing because I'll do off the backboard any day and get bonus points. But
Yeah,
uh, no, I'm not sure. I have it pulled up right now. I'm looking at the scoring sheet right now for the WDA. I'm not sure. I think we need to have like you need to have like a big sit down conversation with like all like the top people in the dunk community, like everyone, like 15 people, 20 people, with everyone who knows like who's been in it and who knows what they're talking about, dunker or just someone in the community. And we need to get a definitive scoring system because the difference between some of the dunks, the points aren't enough. And also Isaiah mentioned this. I don't know if you guys watched the THP Strength YouTube channel.
I
Uh,
did, yeah.
yeah, you saw that. Yeah, so him and CJ just reacted to a FIBA contest that Doug Anderson was in, and Isaiah, what he mentioned at the end of the video was right now the SRS, so the flight, style, and finish, is taken into account way too much. It has
Hmm.
way too much of an effect on the dunk,
Yeah.
whereas technicality should be rewarded more than just flight, style, finish. So
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. That's the only thing that I was a little bit worried about. Going into my 9 foot contest, I was like, am I like doing too much? Because like at the end of the day, if I'm doing too much and I lose to a dude who's just doing like hard basic dunks, like I'm gonna be very mad and I would probably get pissed off. And I did
bro's
not want
gonna
to do that.
crash out.
Yeah, I was literally gonna crash out, bro. But it was like at the end of the day, like I did super technical dunks and killed everybody, and everyone else was doing basic dunks, and they were probably punching them. So I do think it does have like a huge effect, and I would like to see it a little bit less, but I don't know. Again, like I won by like a landslide, so it would be very different if it was like there was somebody who was actually competing with me a little bit more, I guess. Obviously Tim went insane, but he kind of didn't get the score he was looking for in his last dunk. So yeah, it's just like I don't know. I think it is taken into account a little bit too much. I do like the fact that they're trying to give like a little opinion. Like still have the judges like I don't even know what it's called, like interact more and just have their own opinion. But at the same time, I do think it should be a little bit less. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's
I
my
mean,
only critique.
yeah, because I mean, if you look at something like, I mean, you could even look at the one-handers that some people do. Like some people have insane style with a one-hander, like CJ Champion or somebody like that, and then you have somebody that just does a little like with their stiff leg every single time, and they're just throwing it down. Like obviously, those are two different dunks, and obviously one should be scored higher than the other. So like I do understand like why it's so like a high I guess priority for it. But I do agree with like just I would be pissed off too if I was doing a highly technical dunk and then people that are just punching stuff and jumping decently high or getting higher scores just because that's getting more of a focus. But I think there does have to be those still into account or consideration just because that I think that does play a role just because some styles are, I mean, better. It's just a thing. Um, but again, at the end of the day, it's dunking is always just going to be very hard to score, and everybody's either going to have they're going to have a good opinion about it. Like obviously, we were having a debate about the whole passing thing. Like obviously, some people agree, some people don't agree. And I guess again, there'd be if we talk to 20 other dunkers as well, I guarantee you it'd probably be like 50-50 on the passing stuff too. So it's like everybody doesn't agree with everything. So it's just at the end of the day, I think it's just gonna be really hard to score. And hopefully we do figure it out someday. Like I really do hope that happens and we can get
Even if
something
it's just like
consistent. But
even if it's just like a decent scoring system, we don't even need it to be like
yes,
100%
perfect.
perfect. As
Yes.
long as it's like generally fair and people aren't gonna lose in ways that they should not lose, like it's not
Yes.
that huge of
And
a
one of
deal.
the
Like,
things too that is going to be hard too is because I mean I'm sure we've all played sports growing up, and everyone has, and myself included. So knowing this about competitions is that no matter what the scoring system is going to be, everyone's going to feel like they were cheated in some way, no matter what the scoring system is, and that goes for
yep,
any sport. That goes for think about like NBA. You hear players all the time talk about how bad the refs were when they just lost the game. So it's like everyone's going to feel like they were cheated and they deserve to win. So I mean, as long as like you said, we can come to an agreement at the end of the day on like generally what works, then that's fine.
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
yeah. It's gonna be hard because like I've been in two 9 foot contests at dunk camp, and like my first one was actually really close. Leo Leo. I'm not saying that Leo like argued or anything. Like he obviously was very I don't know what the word is, but yeah, like it ended well. But basically the last two dunks we did, he did a 360 reverse windmill, Vince Carter style, like punched the crap out of it. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And then he did like a reverse spin 360 windmill, so two really good dunks. And my first dunk, I went for a like 360, 180 scorpion thing. And I actually messed it up and it wasn't a scorpion, but I still got like decent points. And then my second dunk, I did an inverted scorpion and I won. And a lot of like, I feel like if that was in the biggest stage in the world, like the Olympics, it might have been argued a bit, like you didn't do that completely right, whatever. But also upside down dunks. I might be wrong, Donovan. I don't know if you still have it pulled up, but upside downs give you 17 extra points,
You miss it.
and the closest other dunk is like 5. So I mean, I think that I mean I like it like that obviously because shoot, I'll just spam inverted scorpions in the Olympics, I guess, and win. But um, I don't think that that's really fair because some people like literally don't have the mobility to do that. So difficult.
Oh my gosh, I gotta find it. Upside down. Wait, what category is that in? Do you know?
I think it's in finish.
Yeah, 17. Yeah, 17 points. Although, I mean, that makes sense because what if you do like a between the legs inverted score? Like, yeah, of course it's gonna get 17 points. Like, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Although, yeah,
But
I'm not sure
also,
about the exact number. Like, why 17 versus double? Like, the next one is 9, and that's crown. Like, why is
yeah.
upside down worth it was 8 more points than crown? Like, I'm not sure.
But
I don't know how
also,
they got the exact numbers, is what I'm saying. I don't know where they
yeah.
got it from.
Yeah, but the thing is with those is like you're not going to see a lot of people doing those types of finishes though. I think
I
that's
know,
why they're
but
so
let's
But when
high
they
and it's not
do,
like a set
let's just
thing.
say like I did go to a FIBA thing or whatever, and I just spammed that. Like I did just 4 variations of upside down dunks. It's almost impossible for me to lose. Literally almost impossible for me to lose if I hit every one of them. Doesn't matter what everyone else does. Like that's one of the reasons that I won by a landslide at dunk camp is because I did an upside down dunk and I automatically got like almost 20 extra points. And like it's just such a I don't know. There's again there's things that need to be fixed, but I don't know. It needs to be organized. Like we it needs to be an organized call with like and it won't be one thing either. Like you're not gonna fix the whole thing in an hour. Like it'll probably take an hour a day for like 2 months. And then
yeah.
there will still be people arguing about it. So this it's super hard. But
You know, I mean that's definitely probably the biggest thing I would say that needs to be changed to make the sport bigger is because you see guys like Jordan Sutherland that stopped doing dunk contests just because of the scoring system,
yeah.
and it's like we can't have guys like that stop doing what they love and competing against other pros because of the scoring system. Because again, if you look at it, the scoring system that is still used today was made back in like what the 70s or something. I don't know exactly when it was,
Yeah, I don't even
but
know.
it's literally been going on for 50 years or however long it's been, and it's been the same scoring system since the first dunk contest for majority of contests around the world. It's like it just can't. Everything evolves over time. Obviously, there's some sports that have the same rules and same scoring or whatever, but dunking, especially of how much it's evolved, it needs to change because, like we said earlier, these tens that are been given out are not the in like the first couple of rounds are not the same tens that are the dunks for the last round. It's just not even close. And like Donovan said, like at least for the 1 through 10 scoring system, at least use 1 through 10. And a missed dunk should automatically be a 0 because you didn't even make the dunk. So
Yeah.
it's like I think that would be a good start is to do the full 1 through 10 system. Like I think that would be obviously fix a lot of things. Obviously, there's still going to be people that are going to give really really high scores regardless because of again
It's just how it's been,
what they've
yeah.
seen. Yeah.
Or
So and
actually,
like
hey, I may be wrong on what I said earlier. What do you know what I'm looking at like the different types of passes. What does self precision? What does that mean? It's worth
I
the
don't know.
most points out of all the passes. It's worth 5. It's the most.
It might be
Self
a
precision.
it might be a, like a in air
Oh,
pass.
is that the one where you
I
throw
don't
it?
know. I'm just guessing.
No,
Yeah.
no, is
It
that the
might
one
be
where you
that.
yeah,
throw it and then you run up
Maybe.
before it touches the ground and get it?
Maybe. I don't know.
probably
I would maybe. I think that sounds right just by the name of it, but I have no clue because I don't know what
is
self
it
precision means.
is there anything that has bounce on the ground like wind variation? Like if someone does
Yeah,
a win off the
wall to
backboard?
floor is 4 points. Yeah, it's the second most.
Okay.
There, uh, no,
But like
there's no off lob win. No.
I was gonna say,
There
what if you
there
do a
is.
lob off
Oh,
the
it's worth 3 things though. You're right, Dylan. It combines 3 scores automatically if you do the win. That is
okay.
crazy.
Because like, what if you? I was about to say, what if you do like a spin back and you don't touch backboard or wall or
Oh
anything, and
man.
you literally just do the win and it spins back to your hand off of a lob? Obviously,
It's
that's harder.
combined 3 points. I'm looking at it right now. Self bounce
Yeah,
assist plus slingshot plus moving obstacle. And that's just well, I guess that's the whole dunk actually. That's all you get. Okay. That's what it's called. Okay.
Yeah.
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 but yeah, there's
It's
definitely need to
crazy.
be something changed or just implemented than what is right now. Because obviously, dunk camp's using the WDA and the SRS, right?
Yep.
Yep. So they're using WDA and SRS, which obviously has made the contest a lot better. But at the same time, like there's definitely some stuff that needs to be changed or added or whatever. Um, but I mean, I don't know. I just think having the same scoring system for like 50 years is kind of crazy. Now that I
Yeah,
think
for
about it,
sure.
like that's actually
Yeah.
kind of insane that they've kept it and nobody's been like, oh yeah, we need to change this because it's been needed to be changed for 20 years now,
It's
if
like
not
I
more.
mentioned it's like I mentioned last podcast though. No one even knows what dunking is, so why would they change it?
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts on double ups in contests?
I know Donovan's answer.
No, I don't. I mean, like me doing them. I'm not doing them, but I'll beat you if you do double ups, so you can do them.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like you obviously don't
Oh,
use
I'm
them at
not
all,
doing them,
so
man.
I just
So
It's
no,
just because
I
I
Don
don't care.
I don't care if people do
Yeah,
them. I don't
yeah.
care. You
it's
can do
just because
them.
Donovan's not really good. That's why he can't do it.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I'm not insane at dunking. I need to get to
Donovan's
that
not
level.
Donovan's not skilled enough for double ups,
I'm
guys.
not skilled enough to double. Although you know what's funny, I've never done a double up, so maybe I'm not skilled enough to double up.
Hey, well maybe that's another thing. We can go back to the passing thing.
Hmm.
Some people do a lot of some people are very good at double ups and some people aren't. So should double ups be scored higher or lower? Like
No, no, literally, because
exactly.
I
It's
can't do it. I can't do a double up under both, so that'd be scored higher than
Bro,
mine for both, just for me personally.
Donovan would be like more scared to do a just a regular double than an East Bay or sorry, under both off the backboard. He would rather do it under both off the backboard than a
Dude, I
regular
would in
double
a
up.
contest. I
Like
dead
that's
would.
just
That's crazy.
crazy to
I would
that's
not do a
hilarious.
just
normal level up. I've never
that's
done
just crazy to think about. But
it.
Three Donovan, 360 East Bay whirlwind in a contest or double up one hander.
Dude, oh crap! Wait, okay, hold on. Wait, it depends on how much money. If there's no money on the line, then I'm doing the 360s.
FIBA contest, 4 grand on the line.
Oh man! And this is the final. Like, if I make either one of them, I win.
Hmm.
Oh, dude. Okay.
and you get no help. You
I
get
might
no help
have
from
to
the
try
double up.
double up over someone shorter than me. I might have to. And yeah, I don't know.
He'd probably wipe.
Yeah.
Zero preparation. That'd be hilarious.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think double ups, I don't know. Like I like what I really want to say is that they should be allowed, but only if you do them the way that TW used to do them, like held above the head. So like you kind of prevent a push off, but even then you can still push off.
Or you can just do
Like
like Bravo did in the most recent FIBA contest. It's not a double up, but he lobbed it and then jumped over people and cleared
that's
them.
so
So that kind of
scary, dude.
that's
That
dude,
is
no, that
so
is
scary.
terrifying, bro.
I can't even think about doing that.
I
But
don't
yeah,
know.
I don't know. I feel like I hate saying this, but I feel like there needs to be a way for them to be allowed, but they can't like be as overpowered and as like loved by everyone as they currently are. Because like again, like I joke about this a lot. Like if me or Hunter went up against Donovan in a dunk contest, either one of us could beat him if the judges are bad enough. If we just do double up after double up, we could beat Donovan with some judges, which is just comical. So I do think that there needs to be something done about it, but I just don't know what the right thing to do is
But it
because
also
they
goes
are a
back
great
to
thing.
yeah, because it also goes back to what Donovan says that dunking is not known enough. So people think that jumping over somebody is the hardest thing ever. While
Hmm.
is if someone does an East Bay double up over somebody and then Donovan pulls out a 360 East Bay, they're gonna think the double up East Bay is harder than Donovan's 360 self balance East Bay. Like it's just a common thing. I mean, some people might be like, "Oh, that looks really hard to do because he's doing a 360," but common knowledge, people will think that double ups are harder just because again they never tried it. They don't know. They're not educated enough to know
I
like how hard they are sorry, how easy a double up is because you're pushing off.
Isaiah said that in the podcast as well. He said that double up shouldn't be a thing in contests at all.
But like the thing is, again, I don't want to be like advocating for double ups too much here, but like there are some double ups that I see that I'm like, dude, that is insane. Like I don't know if
So
y'all
yeah,
watched the contest with Doug, but Grabo back rim like a between the legs elbow double up. Like to me, like
yeah.
I don't even care if there's a little bit of push there. Like that's still an insane dunk. Like to hang on a between the legs elbow.
And
So again,
also, I
like
will admit, during the China contest, I'm not gonna lie, and I know John mentioned this too. When Chen did that double up over like 6 people, that's still low-key impressive to clear 6 people.
over eight, yeah,
Oh, eight,
eight
eight,
people,
eight's
bro.
insane. That's
East
kind of
Bay over
wild.
8 people. Like what is that?
That is
And
kind of crazy,
like
bro.
imagine the dunk world like without Jordan Killian's double up scorpion. Like we're just gonna get rid of that or double up crown. Like we just gonna get rid of that. Like it's so
Yeah. No, I
difficult.
mean, but yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So I don't know. Again, I do I like what the WDA does with like docking them for
Dude, do you
certain
see how
things.
heavy CJ docks it? He puts a 0 or was it a 1 for flight
It's
on double
probably
up?
yeah, it's a one or a
He puts like
zero,
a
dude.
0 or a 1. I was like, dang, he didn't even like hold back at all.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there, again, it needs to be something that is talked about a lot, like with a lot of people. It's very hard to just like just think of something like right away. Like I literally can't think of a good solution really.
Neither can I, because I get what you're
Yeah.
But
saying. There are some things that are still crazy, whether they're
or
double up.
like or like double up between behind. Like that's another insane one. Double up under both is still very difficult.
Yeah.
Like I can't double up under both and I can do a ton of low rim dunks. Like that's one dunk that I struggle with a ton. So it's like there's some things that I do think are still very difficult, but I just don't know how to score them. So I do
What's
think
I
that
think
I
it's
mean,
yeah.
at the end of the day, it's going to be hard regardless because again, there's going to be opinions, and everybody has a different opinion about every dunk possible.
So
So
what do you guys think about this though? Like, so I know like so let's take I don't even know what the sport's called. It's the Winter Olympic sport, the one where like I don't is it ski jumping? Like the one where you go off the huge ramp and like fly and
yeah.
like do
Yeah.
so it's
yeah,
interesting. Yeah. No, it's interesting too because I feel like almost to an extent, once you get to a certain vertical jump, it almost becomes what dunks you're technically good at are the ones that you do often. So I'll explain what I'll tie it. I'll explain what I'm trying to say here is like so on that thing I'm talking about the big ski thing where you do the huge jump. Doing a triple backflip is objectively harder than doing a single backflip, right? But how do we know that doing an under both for dunking is objectively harder than doing it behind the back? How do we know that? Maybe it's just because I've practiced it more that I'm good at them. Like, how do we know that it's hard?
I will take that right now. If someone asked me to do for $1 million, if someone asked me to do it under both off the lob or behind the back off the lob, I'm doing it under both off the lob because I suck at behind the backs,
There
and
you
I'm
go.
just
So
so much better.
why
I'm
is under
so
both
much
scored
better at
higher?
under both. So again, I get what
You
you're
see what I'm saying?
saying,
There's
but
so much subjectiveness.
Yeah.
yes,
It's difficult because again, like there are people like Hunter who literally did you hit your first under both before you hit behind the back?
yes, and it
Yeah.
was months before.
Dude, what the
It's
heck?
I
hilarious.
hit I
But
hit two under bolts before I hit my first behind the back.
There you
here's the
go.
thing. Here's the thing though. I right now or like for example, Hunter before Hunter hit his first under both, he was jumping high enough to hit it behind the back and he was not jumping high enough to hit an under both. So again, it's kind of like what you prioritize.
No,
I
that's
don't
what I'm
really
saying.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I really want to agree with you, but at the same time, like at the end of the day, under both is just simply a harder dunk that you need to jump higher for and is harder on your body than behind the back. But
Is
it's
it?
again like you
How
said,
do you
like
know
for
that?
you it might be I don't know, bro. Like is if you watch like Isaiah or Jordan, like a behind the back is literally a layup. They cannot just go up and do under both though.
But how
Like
many times have they? I guarantee you, like how many times have they practiced under both? Probably not as much as they've done that. So there you go. It's like they don't
yeah,
they don't do it enough, like or
yeah,
enough or more often. It's like I think there's almost too much subjectiveness, like to where it gets to the point where like I don't even know, like I'm like
scratch. scratch
Oh,
the
I
whole
don't
thing and just do 1 through
like. Bro,
that'd
here's a good
be
example. Not I'm better at 360 dunks than I am at reverse dunks, and those are significantly harder because I don't practice reverse dunks at all. I literally I can't see the rim. I actually miss the majority of them. So that's another one. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like there's so much subjectiveness. It's crazy. It varies person to person almost too much to have an objective scoring system.
Yeah.
that is
Or
very
like for
interesting.
the
Yeah.
passing stuff, some people like to do off the dribble stuff, like Chris Staples,
Yeah.
and there's some people that like you like to do self bounce,
Mhm.
and there's people that like to do. I mean, who's somebody that really does like lobs like a really lot, like probably
Grabo,
Isaiah. He likes,
Grabo.
yeah,
Bravo,
Bravo
yeah.
too. Like everybody has a different like consistency of dunks.
Yeah.
So like there's that too, where it's like somebody might think dribble dunks are easier, Chris Staples. Or self I won't say like you think self bounce is easier than because I don't know what you think, but like you're probably one of the most and Travis that do self bounce probably the most.
Yeah.
And then obviously a lot more people like to do lobs, but
So here's another example that everyone completely disagrees with me on, but I'm not even like I'm not joking. I'm not like exaggerating. I'm not trying to be funny. Like on that list, I made that one video was like my different levels of dunk difficulty. You guys remember that? I did
Kind of,
that
yeah.
and I put under both 4 places higher than I thought it was. And I'm not kidding. I genuinely think under both it's easier than 360 East Bay and 360 Windmill. But people don't agree with me on that. So it's like there's so it's because I practiced it so much.
yeah.
I think it's such a I don't even know. It's so hard to like oh man,
Yeah.
it's
Cause
very
because
hard.
that same list that you did, Donovan actually texted me saying, I want to hear what your list is. And I put Scorpion like 6 places easier than he put than his
Yeah.
Scorpion. I put mine
Yeah.
at maybe like 4 or 5. He put his at like 11 or something, 10. Like just because he doesn't do Scorpions that much, he does more of the regular just East Bay windmill, whatever. While as I would rather do like if I'm warming up, I could do an off of a cuff and do like a scorpion with a warm up dunk. While as I have to get later in my session just to do an East Bay. So it's like I
Yeah.
can't just walk up and do an East Bay, but I could walk up and do a scorpion. Not every session. Like obviously I don't make it, but like I get a lot closer going less like maximum effort with a scorpion than I do with an East Bay. But Donovan would probably say the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I want to disagree with you very badly, Donovan, but like I cannot think of like a good argument to disagree with you with. So I
If
do
your disagreement starts with I, its validity is automatically thrown out the window. Just saying. If you
what
say me personally, then that
no,
disagree the
yeah. No,
arguments
I
are
agree.
gonna yeah.
That's what I'm saying again though. Like even if I were to disagree with
Uh,
you, it would be completely subjective. And it would just be based on
yeah,
my own
that's what
opinion
I'm saying.
about
But
dunking.
but
That's
that's with
where
all dunking. It's all just
that
subjective. Like
well
even what I said is
that's what
subjective.
I'm saying. Like that's why I'm agreeing with you is because it's
Yeah.
literally impossible to disagree without just going on into an opinion based argument. So I do think that it is very difficult to create an objective based scoring system because of how subjective everything in dunking is. But I do think that like the only way to build an objective based scoring system is just to build it around the average person or the average dunker. So although for Donovan, under both is easier than behind the back, for the average dunker, I would argue that they are probably never going to hit under both, but they might hit behind the back. So it's like for stuff like that, it's like you kind of have to take out outliers. I mean, I guess it. I don't know. I don't know if you Donovan is an outlier or if he just practiced under both way more than everyone else did. That is completely possible. But again, you just I feel like we to make an objective based scoring system, the only way to do it is just to think about what is going to be easier for the average person and what is easier to have consistent. So, for example, Chris Staples 360 East Bay, like Hunter was saying, I would argue that that is like very easy for him or for someone like him, just because his arms are super long, he doesn't need to jump super high, and it's just like a layup. Whereas if you were to do that same dunk off a lob, it takes a lot more. Not a lot. I don't even know what the proper term is, but you need to be a lot more perfect with the lob and with your hands to do it off the lob. So I mean, again, like that's kind of where I feel like the passes come in. Like, but again, there are
Yeah.
people who just simply prefer off lob. So I don't know how to properly
But
argue that.
one thing we haven't talked about that like I think it kind of goes over people's head. Obviously, it could vary, but height and reach. varies a little bit too with
I
how
heard,
difficult a dunk could
yeah,
be, but also like you could say that some people are better with or without it. But like obviously there's like if you're like really, really tall, like 6'6" plus, obviously dunking should be basically it should be harder just because you can't move as freely as a 5'8" person can. But also it's a lot easier for a 6'8" person to get to the rim, while as a 5'8" person has to get infinitely
yeah,
higher to get to the rim. So it's like that also is like a hard thing to judge because if I
yeah,
have a 5'8" person going up against a 6'6" person, I'm gonna give more points to the 5'8" person because he has to get significantly higher up to the rim with his height and his reach. Like he has to have a higher vert than a person that's
yeah,
6'6". So
yeah. I heard, well, we can close on this. I heard John say that he thinks that height should be adjusted by reach or something like that. Um, so I mean, I just want to get your guys' thoughts on that. That's kind of like the last thing since we only have 5 minutes left
Like one of the
again.
only things John's ever said that I completely disagree with. That makes no
Yeah.
sense.
So here's my problem with it. Let's just say that Donovan wasn't the specimen that he is, and he's just like me and Don, like I'm an average 5'10" guy, and Donovan is an average 6'5" guy. That would mean that like in our contests against each other, Donovan would have to again, I'm just gonna throw numbers out there. Let's just say I get to dunk on 9'9" and he has to dunk on 10'3". It like and let's just say we have the same vertical. That's not fair at all. Like not in the slightest, because if we both have, let's just say 45-inch verts, we both, gosh, I don't know. It's like I don't know. I just said that horribly, but again, it's just like it's so difficult to adjust for someone's reach because it affects how high they can jump. Like because of your proportions, like it affects how high you can jump. And there's people who are shorter who have more time in the air because of
Also, yeah, I agree. No, I agree with pretty much what you're saying. Also, is there a sport that adjusts for your size or your proportions or anything?
no, like in like I
Then why
think
would we?
like he
yeah,
does a lot of like high jump stuff, and it's like in high jump if you're 5'8", you're cooked. Like that's literally just
No,
it.
yeah, it sounds bad, but like same thing with the NFL. If you're 5'10", 160, you're
Yeah,
not going to
if
the
you're
NFL.
there's not a under 6 foot NBA league. Like maybe
Yeah,
there
like
is,
yeah,
but
exactly.
nobody
Like
cares about it. Like if you're not 6'5", you're not making the league. I mean, there's a
and you
small
know,
chance, but you're not
yeah,
making the league,
that's my whole thing.
basically.
It's like you either, and again, and like with the WDA, if you're shorter and people know you're shorter, you're gonna get a better score just because you're shorter. That's a thing. So that it helps you, right? Like if me and Dylan both do an under both off lob, and it's whatever, same dunk, he's gonna get a better score, and he should. But yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a really interesting thing to start adjusting for each person's proportions. I don't know about that. It's definitely not shouldn't be
yeah,
a
I totally agree with you guys. It's just that like Dylan said, if he had to dunk on 9'9" and Donovan had to dunk on 10'3", like that's just not like no. like, like
I
it's
mean,
just but the other thing with that
right
is like you'd
now,
have to find the
right
rims.
now, right now, he would probably still beat me on 10-3, but give me like 3-4 inches on my vert, and it's actually going to be close. Actually, I don't know. I haven't seen Donovan dunk on a rim higher than 10 feet. He could probably under both on like ten
Texas was
six.
10 and a quarter.
Nah, it's not that different for you. I want to see you. I want to see you have an 11-foot session.
Dude,
I know you could.
11 foot.
Do you think you could East by an 11?
I could under both on 11. I think so.
Actually,
Okay,
yeah,
I'd have to see it first. But like
yeah,
if I can touch 12 feet, why can't I under both on 11? That's 12 inches of room.
that's true. And you can
Yeah.
touch higher than 12 too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But what I got one more quick question. It can
go
be very
for it.
quick, but do you think 1 foot and 2 foot has to be taken into consideration too, like for
No.
scoring wise?
Oh,
No.
scoring, yes. Scoring, yes.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I thought you meant like different contests for 1 and 2 footers. But
No, just like
no,
scoring
because
wise, like
there are
difficulty
some
and stuff.
dunks that are a lot harder off 1 foot. For
Yes.
example, an inverter is way harder off 1 foot. Because you like,
What? Is it?
yes, it is way harder, bro. An inverter, that would be for you, it'd just be a left-hand J Rich, basically.
Dude, I don't know. That but
It
then
is it's easy, bro. I promise you, like if I could easily hit an inverter, not easily, I could hit an inverter right now, and I suck. Like if I was a 1 foot jumper, I would not be hitting an invert. You have to like jump and then switch legs. It's basically a tamala. It's like a
Yeah.
J Rich tamala. It's very hard. Another one is 360 reverse windmill. Don't even try to argue it.
Well, what if someone jumps off their left foot, like like Jordan, but they're left-handed? We don't see that often, but what if they do? Then it's easier for them.
Kind of, but I don't know. Again,
There's just so much.
so much
There's just so much.
subjectiveness. I don't know,
It's
dude.
crazy,
we,
dude. Like,
hey, we got exactly a minute left though.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, any closing thoughts from either of you two?
No, I just think at the end of the day, it's going to be very
It's gonna
opinion
be a
based, and it's
battle,
just gonna
dude.
be yeah, it's just gonna be so subjective that
Oh my
it's just
gosh.
gonna be. I don't really think there's gonna be a like a set in stone scoring system. That's all I'm gonna say.
Donnie, any thoughts?
nothing. You pretty much covered it all.
Yeah, dude. I think it's definitely possible to get a good scoring system, but I don't know if a
Yeah.
perfect scoring system will ever exist.
That's what
And
I
a
meant. Like
good one will
perfect.
do.
Like
And a
yeah,
good one will
there will
do.
be a
Nothing
set
Good
in
one
is
will
stone
do.
perfect
one,
this
but
time.
All right.
yeah.
Before we run out of time, just want to say thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to go follow the podcast on Instagram, Dunk Talk Podcast. Make sure to go follow special guest Donnie on Instagram, Donovan Hawkins _37, Hunter.dunks. And then you don't need to know my Instagram because I don't post any good content. But again, appreciate y'all tuning in. And I'll see y'all in the next one.